Good morning, this is Julie Emery, and I am presenting today on the topic of tactile communication symbols. What you see before you is a grouping of different symbols that are used here at the School for the Blind. Each one of these shapes of the cards for the Tactile Connections Kit carries meaning. Different shapes indicate different categories. The first one is people, then it's actions, places, and finally things that they have to go and do. So each one of those has different meanings for the student, and Braille is written at the bottom to help them to understand what it's for. Our next slide shows that a symbol can really be anything that is intended to replace a photograph for a print learner. What we have here is a chart from Texas School for the Blind that organizes Braille versus print and identifies the objects, alternate objects, parts of the objects, and individual symbols being the same for both print and Braille learners, but what really differs is when we would use photographs for a sighted learner, then they would use tactile symbols for someone who doesn't have vision. The final part of the slide discusses the APH symbols and commercially available symbol sets, and whereas the print person might use Boardmaker or other photographs, different symbols that way. Standard tactile symbols can be taught in a consistent way to build meaning. You might begin an activity with a consistent object to begin to use the object to cue the student and then look for responses. For example, if you're making orange juice, you might give them a pitcher, and the pitcher itself becomes the meaning of the task. And so when the student sees the pitcher, you look to see if they're understanding you by, going to the pitcher or getting excited or responding in some way. Of course, if they don't have vision, then you would also present it tactily. You'd let them feel it. You would present it from a few feet away, see if they recognize it, give it to them in using the area that they use for identifying objects according to symbol, and present them and look for the understanding. And you might try to see if they act on a different object differently, and then you would use a symbol to pair that action with the picture, or you'd use a symbol to help the student to associate that when they see this symbol that this activity is going to follow. This is one of the options for tactile communication devices. Once a student has learned the symbolic meaning of a smaller version of a symbol or something that's used during a task, then that object can then represent the activity. And so this would be something that's nice and portable. It's got a handle, so the student could carry this from class to class and be able to make requests or discuss, events that have happened to them already in the day by pointing to the objects on the symbol set. The totally tactile communicator is also by enabling devices, and it is just a voice output device that you can program each one of these icons, which are obviously tactile in nature, that the student can learn the location of the various different things that they might request and use that to communicate. There are, in addition to having specific symbol sets that are used in different schools, there are also 3D graphic libraries. Some of those are listed here. Project Core, the symbols on the right-hand side of the slide show Project Core symbols which have Braille, which are in the shape of the various core symbols, core language symbols, to help teach the student that the symbol that is on the icon has meaning and what that meaning might be. At the end, I've got my credits to thank everyone who was involved and to discuss ways that you can find the information that was discussed. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.